Thank you very much, everybody, and welcome back to the Recruitment Business Owners Podcast. This is episode 4, and my guest, as you can see today, is Laura Raven, Managing Director at Zitko Group, with over 26 years in the recruitment industry. Laura's company specialises in helping global businesses build high-performing teams through contracts, permanent and statement of work solutions, bringing structure, accountability and a real delivery confidence to complex hiring challenges. Laura is known for her honest market insight, no-nonsense approach and consistently delivering results that actually stick. In this episode, we will get into what it really takes to build and run a successful recruitment business. Laura, welcome to episode 4. For those who haven't crossed your path, who are you and what are you building at Zitko Group?
So I'm Laura. I've worked at Zitko for 8 years. I originally started as a temporary resource consultant when I was pregnant with my daughter. And then after maternity leave, I came back. Zitko had set up, whilst I was off, a contract desk that was doing a small amount of money. And when I came back, George tasked me with getting that up and running. And now it's the second biggest division within our business. It's run by somebody different. It's run by Ellie Kendall, who I think you're speaking to in a few weeks. Yeah,
she's on here today as well.
She is, yeah. Now my job has grown over the last kind of 3 years. Originally, I was responsible just for contracting. Then I picked up UK Perm, and now I'm responsible for everything. And we are a global business. So we've got teams that cover APAC, USA, contract. We've got a European branch based in Ireland. And it's my responsibility to make sure that all of those teams deliver. We also have a scope of work team, which I run sort of more directly on a day-to-day basis. And that's delivering sort of projects, teams within sort of directly within customers. So yeah, it's busy.
Yeah, it sounds like your hands full.
Yeah.
What period stretched you the most as a business leader, and what did it force you to change?
Yeah, that's a good question. There's been a few. As a leader, a couple of years ago, the company decided that we were going to try and grow through headcount rather than through business and then hiring headcount. And it was really challenging, finding it, really difficult because it just, for various reasons, it was the wrong way to grow. It's quite hard when, especially a couple of years ago, we were off the back of COVID and recruitment was, quite I don't want to say easy because that's not the right word, but I'm sure it was people could come in with no recruitment experience and they were able to make placements because of the massive demand that there was for customers. And a couple of years ago that started to kind of like wane off, and people perhaps with not as much experience that had come in and had been making money, when the market got more challenging, they didn't have the skill set to be able to sort of cope in that market. And we were trying to sort of train and support and all of those things, and it just, for various reasons, didn't work out for quite a few people. And that was really tough because it's people that we liked, that were part of our business, and they've sort of, a lot of them have moved on and they don't work in recruitment anymore. Because actually, when it be turned into a normal kind of market, it wasn't a job that they liked and they enjoyed, so that was really challenging and really tough. Lots of nights lying awake and thinking about people that just weren't happy, weren't hitting their targets, was costing the business money, but also they weren't making any money either. So that was tough. And now we grow through, business you know, everybody gets to capacity within a team and says like, we can't take any more, and then we add in another head, so we don't do it the other way around anymore. So yeah.
And what would you say has delivered the biggest return on investment?
Yeah, good question. I would say development into different markets. So we work in the security technology business. That's our sort of market within the UK. There are quite a few companies that work in that business, but there aren't in sort of other areas within you know, the world. And we've decided that actually, you know, we're quite interested in and brave enough to go out and try those markets, and the rewards have been really good.
Yeah, great. So looking at other areas of the markets, spreading the message, building the business beyond.
Yeah, definitely beyond the UK. Yeah.
Yeah. What would you take more seriously now than what you would have done earlier in your journey?
There's probably a couple of things. So attitude around staff. I think people show you quite quickly who they really are, and people say to you, and this is probably customers as well. They sometimes say to you what you want to hear, but their actions are very different. And it's you know, we watch how they really behave, and I think that you that is a big tell on a lot of people, customers and, you know, consultants that work within your business, and that you should really listen to what they're really telling you. The other thing is I think that especially within the perm market, if I was to, you know, start Zitko again tomorrow, we wouldn't work on contingent permanent recruitment. We would try and make sure that we only worked on exclusive, retained, managed service, permanent business, because it's a tough gig. And you want to you know, get as many returns on your work as possible. And when you're up against 3 or 4 other recruitment companies, you know, the odds of you filling that job are you know, really minimized, aren't they? So they're the two things I think that you know, we're very laser focused on here. You know, there's so many good things about working on a retained or an exclusive or a managed service model with a recruiter. They learn you inside out. It's a genuine partnership. All of those things from your employer brand are great things for a company to be focusing on, especially now when you know, there's so many jobs out there for people that it's not necessarily about who pays the most. It's about the whole package that you get. And you know, if you get a bad experience at the beginning when you're sort of being onboarded and stuff, then that can affect your opinion of that business for years. So I think it's really important.
Absolutely. What mistakes have you seen newer recruitment leaders making that usually cost them time and money?
Yeah, good question. I think that not sort of having a conversation about poor behaviors or anything like that. Like, as soon as you start seeing them, if you target that and knock it on the head, then quite often it's a small problem to solve. It's when it's gone on for like 6 weeks, 12 weeks, you know, 6 months. That's when, you know, it becomes a much bigger issue to resolve, instead of just being like, you know, hey, I noticed you did this and that's out of character for you, what's going on? You know, if you get further down the line, it's, you know, it's a much harder problem to solve then, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And leading on from that, what would you say is a lesson that you've understood once you've stepped into that more leadership role that you were probably too inexperienced before to realize?
That I think the the biggest challenge when you move, you know, I went from being a consultant, like in the mix on the shop floor, to being a manager. And you hear all the, you know, they don't ask us, they don't, you know, we don't know about things until they're like, you know, they're decided and all of those things. And it's like, yeah, like that's just the way that it is, like, you know, and you think at the time, oh, that's so unfair. And then when you're in it, you're like, oh, I understand now why we don't ask 50 people their opinion about whether, you know, we should buy different coffee in the, you know, the office, or, you know, whatever the decision is. But it's like, you know, it's bad enough when there's 3 or 4 management people having to make that decision, and you all have different opinions and different viewpoints. But if you asked 50 people their opinions, so sometimes, you know, businesses have to make decisions that not everybody's happy with, and you have to accept that sometimes you are the bad guy, and that can be really difficult to accept when you want to be liked by people. You know, I think most recruiters like talking to people, interacting with people. You know, we're as an industry, I think you're probably quite an, you know, a chatty, outgoing, I mean, I'm generalizing here, but most recruiters I've met are, you know, they like to be, you know, liked, or you know, and it's hard to then, you know, go from being in the mix to, yeah, I'm really sorry you're unhappy with that decision, but that's the decision that the business has made, and we just have to move forward with that. So yeah.
And are they happy with the coffee?
Yeah, I mean, not, we have about 20 different types, so
oh, great.
no.
One for everyone.
Yeah.
So if you had to explain what actually moves the needle in your business today, what would you point to?
I think it's probably a couple of things. So contract has made a massive difference to the business, and that repeat revenue, which obviously as a business is brilliant. But I also think that our expectations of people have changed over the last couple of years. What we used to think was good or exceptional a few years ago is now good. So we have you know, raised our standards and our expectations of people, and obviously that's meant that some people have decided that's not for them, but the people that we now have, everybody within our business is exceptional, and that was tough to go through, but now we're really reaping the rewards of that as a business, but also those individuals are also, you know, benefiting from it personally. So that's, you know, great for everybody.
And it's a lot easier to bring the newcomers, where everybody is established more so, and they're all following the same structure, working off the same page.
And it's, you know, it's a business where people come in and they're like, wow, like, you know, everybody's, you know, working at a really high level. You know, we can prove that you can potentially earn, you know, good money as a consultant here. It's like, you know, look at all of these people. This is what we've got set up already. This is what we've got for you. This is the customers that we've got for you. These are all the jobs. You know, it makes it a lot better for onboarding for new consultants, and, you know, really setting them up to succeed as quickly as possible.
If you were to start over again in year 1, what would you deliberately ignore, and what would you obsess over?
Good question. I think I mean, obviously when I started as a consultant, so obviously it's not my business personally, and everybody has to kind of start somewhere, don't they? But the business didn't start contracting for quite a few years after they started, so I would 100%, that would be like the first thing that we would sort of get up and running. And we would make sure that we were really picky about the customers that we work with, and try and focus solely on retained, exclusive, managed service work, and not getting pulled into that, you know, we need to work with everybody, because like we might be missing out on something. It's like when you look back, it's like we probably weren't missing out on a huge amount, because you have to do so much more work for the same outcome compared to, you know, retained or customers that are signed up with us exclusively. So they are the two things that, you know, we would do from day one if we were to start again.
Yeah. What would you say looks impressive in recruitment from the outside, but delivers very little in reality?
I mean, I've seen over the last couple of years, similar to what we did, you know, businesses with massive headcounts, huge offices, you know, all that cost. And now they've got, you know, they've gone from 100 people to 25, and now they're stuck with this great big office. So I think it's that same thing. It's that vanity headcount that we kind of got, you know, pulled into. You think, oh, well, if we have another head, then we could make, you know, all this much more gross profit and all of those kind of things. And actually it doesn't tend to sort of work out that way, does it? It's, you know, it's definitely grow through you know, organic growth of your customer base.
Yeah, something that you can control more.
Exactly. Yeah.
What would you say have been the leadership challenges that you've come across since scaling people?
Yeah, I think I think recruitment is a hard job, and I think on the outside people don't realize how hard it is, what it really takes. You know, you're talking years of building up, you know, networks and relationships with people, you know, helping people when you're not going to get any money or any return out of it. And they're the things that build you credibility in the long run. It's not, hey, you know, I've never spoken to you before, but I've got this job and you should really trust me. It's the 20 phone calls or conversations or interactions that you've had with that person over the last 2 years that have led up to, hey, I've got this job that I think might be right for you, and they're like, yeah, you've listened to me over the last 20 times that we've spoken to each other. And I don't think people realize that that's how much work goes into building these relationships and networks of people and candidates. And, you know, I've got candidates that you know, I've placed recently that I've spoken to for years, have been clients before they've been candidates, because, you know, you've asked them about a job and they're like, that's not quite right. And then they get themselves a job, and then they're like, your job was you did such a great job, even though you didn't place me. So do you want to work on all this stuff? And you're like, yes, please. And sometimes I think that people want an instant, like an instant win, don't they? And they don't realize that it takes a lot of work to build that up. And contracting, I think, is even harder, because the wins are even smaller. You know, you're talking about, you know, a margin for a week or a margin for a month that, you know, it's not anything close to a perm fee, is it? So it is a slog. It takes 12 to 18 months, I think, of real hard work before you start to see genuine, decent returns from a recruitment career. And quite often people don't have the longevity to stick that out. I think if you can get into like your second year and you enjoy the job, then you've got, you know, access to a really good career. Recruitment is a real roller coaster. It's either like champagne or like dry bread, isn't it? It's not it's one or the other. And being able to ride out those times when it's bad and just be like, you know, I've got to keep going, I've got to keep doing all of those things that I'm supposed to be doing, even though it's dire. And that's not for everybody. Yeah,
very true. When you look at your department that you're running and those that are, you know, you mentioned Ellie earlier, one of your top billers, and they're making their way through, what do they ask from you as they become better and better at the job?
As they get more experience, I think it's, you know, the demand on me from those people is less and less, and it tends to be more around like the strategic stuff, or changes in like legislation and things like that. So it might be like, hey, I don't know if you know, but X, Y, and Z is changing. So obviously we need to make sure that, you know, we change our compliance, or we tweak that, or so it's, you know, I think that's my job, to make sure that as a business we understand what's going on, and the people that are, you know, reporting directly into me, we're supporting them to develop their knowledge of that, so that next time, you know, that they come to me and say, hey, I noticed that this thing is changing, I think we probably need to do this. So it's, you know, their development of their strategic thinking over the, you know, the day-to-day stuff. They know how to do recruitment. They don't need me for that. You know, they come to me and say, hey, we've had this customer complain, or this candidate complain, and, you know, we've done all this, we've sorted it all out, I just wanted to let you know. It's like, brilliant. You know, I don't need to be involved in all of that. It's the higher level kind of strategic stuff, the setting of P&Ls, the, you know, the explaining of how that works, and, you know, the impact of, you know, a new hire on their profit margin and things like that. That's the things that I think that they need from me in this role.
You've got a large department. What are you doing to keep them motivated?
I think because of the work that we've done on our expectations, we don't find that we have people that become unmotivated. Obviously, you know, we're all humans, and things happen to us outside of work that we have no control over. You know, there's been like things that have happened that do affect people's ability to be able to turn up to work every day, and that's, you know, that's a separate thing. But I think that our business, mental health is important. We have a lot of interaction with each other. We have, you know, mental health support. We're quite an active business. We've just done like a walk around the equator challenge to raise money. People run marathons, you know, so we're it's not about, have you spent 10 hours at your desk. It's like, hey, have you got outside and had some like fresh air today? When was the last time that you know, you went and had a break? Are you all right? You know, we are remote, and people don't sort of see each other face to face every day in person. So we make sure that we have meetings, and if people see other people that look like they're not right, you know, they're encouraged to reach out to each other, or to let a hiring manager know. You know, it's all of those things. We all like each other at work, so I think that makes it a lot easier and better, because, you know, people have friends that are checking up on them and things like that. So we haven't really had to do anything specific. I just think all of the things that we've got going on makes people happy and enjoy doing their job, and, you know, that motivates people.
And you've got to like the people that you work with.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it makes a big difference. You've got to love what you do and enjoy the people that you work with.
We do a Gallup 12. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's like the 12 questions, and one of them is like, do you have a best friend at work? And, you know, there are some people that don't, and, you know, that's okay. But the large majority of the people are like, yeah, I've got some really, you know, really good tight friendships with people at work. And I think if you look into studies, that's like a really big part of why people stay in jobs, why they're happy, why they're, you know, they're much more successful, they're much more fulfilled, and you know, all of those things, because they've got relationships at work that are positive.
What standards in the business are non-negotiable for you?
I think we try and you know, be honest, and I think that's a big part of it. You know, recruiters get a bit of a tough rep, don't they, around you know, poor service, you know, selling people into jobs that are not suitable, all of those kind of things. And you know, giving feedback to candidates, that's tough sometimes, you know, but how can clients and candidates, how can you progress, get a new job, fill the job you need, if we're not giving you honest feedback from candidates, from customers around your interview techniques? It's recruitment isn't just putting people in front of other people and leaving them to sort of, get on. It's, really digging into history and experience, but then also saying, this is some of the questions that I think that customer might ask you. What's your answers to these? And if they give like poor answers, it's like, right, I recommend that you go away and think about that, have a look at their website, think about some of the things that you might want to hear about, and ask those questions, talk about them. That we're the experts, so we should be sharing that knowledge honestly and in good faith with candidates and customers. And I think that we really try and deliver on a partnership, a good honest service.
Yeah, and it's all part of it's about the customer journey.
Yeah.
What would you say looks like a bad week now compared to, say, what a bad week was 5 years ago?
Oh gosh. Yeah, so we've reached some sort of milestones over the last kind of 3 months that 5 years ago, if we'd done in a month what we'd done in a quarter, we would have thought that was amazing. So that development, sometimes I think because it's so incremental, isn't it? Each month, each year, it's like a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, that sometimes you need to stop and like look back like 3 or 4 years and be like, oh my God, we've, done so much. And it doesn't feel, I mean, it does feel like it's big now because there's some milestones that we're sort of heading towards, but it also doesn't feel that big because they've been so close over the last sort of few months. But yeah, if we looked back 5 years ago, I mean, 5 years ago, I'm trying to think, I think Ellie had just started, so that felt like a big milestone. There was 2 of us in contracting, and it was, she was starting that slog on her desk. So yeah, I think if we looked back to 5 years ago and like went back in time and we're like, hi, this is us, they'd be like, absolutely not, I don't believe that's possible. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really snowballed, hasn't it, by the sounds of things?
Yeah. And it's down to, exceptional people doing exceptional work. Yeah.
Should be your motto on the website.
Yeah.
What's one habit that you enforce, maybe on a daily or weekly basis, that has really improved things from a business perspective?
I'm quite known in the company for being quite tight. So I am laser focused on spend. And don't get me wrong, we spend money. Like, we have awesome parties and all sorts of things. When people travel, they have a good time. But also there are things that we've spent money on that if we've done a few tweaks and then we've not had to spend that money, and all of those things mean that we're able to give better bonuses, we're able to give better pay rises, and it hasn't then affected our bottom line and things like that. So I'm very interested in our P&L a lot.
You're the purse string holder, are you?
Yeah. Much to George's dismay, who's our owner, and he's like, yeah, let's book it. I'm like, no.
There must be a more cost-effective way here.
Yeah, I'm like, let's just stop. We've implemented a policy, so if you have to spend over a certain amount of money now, it has to come into SMT to be signed off and stuff. And that's largely in part because George's spending is out of control, and even he has to get his spend approved. So yeah, I'm outing him on the internet, so maybe don't put that in.
Keep him under control. He's spending everything.
Yeah. He knows it though. He knows it. So yeah.
Does anybody who is who's joined us have any questions for Laura?
I have a quick question. What do you think has been like the key to standing out in this competitive recruitment market sector?
Yeah, so we are very laser focused on service delivery and the quality of that service delivery, particularly my background is mainly contracting, and that's where I worked as a consultant. We deal with problems instantly. We don't try and sort of push off or fob off or anything like that. If there's a problem with your pay, if there's a problem with the contractor, if there's a problem with the placement that we've made, we absolutely get on the phone straight away and sort that out. It's, people are out there and they're being placed, or they're working on my reputation, on Ellie's reputation, on other people's in the business reputation. So you don't want stuff out there in the ether that's like, hey, I had a really bad service, or I had a problem and they didn't solve that. So we deal with those things instantly, and I think that being mature enough to have those difficult conversations with contractors about work quality or turning up on time or whatever it is, it's surprising how small the difference it makes compared to some of our competitors. When we start talking to people, they're like, haven't been paid right for 3 weeks and they've not sorted it out for me. I mean, that's terrible. I think that's really poor.
Agree with that. Yeah.
The service quality, I think, is everything, but also being able to say to customers, I want a unicorn and I want to pay 25 grand. And it's like, you cannot get that. Like, my market knowledge is telling me that you cannot get that. So you can either have this, a donkey at 25 grand, or you can have a unicorn, but it will cost you 50. And it's about being able to, have an open, honest conversation with people. And the same with candidates. Hey, I've got 2 years experience and I want 50 grand or whatever it is, and it's like you're probably in a market of 40, so you're pricing yourself
basically.
Yeah, completely.
I totally agree. Yeah, thank you so much for answering that question.
No worries.
Obviously I've learned a lot from Laura today, so I've taken a couple of notes down. So
you don't need a degree, you don't need any specific training, you don't need to come from a specific background. And it's it's one of those jobs where your earning potential and career development is directly connected to your effort. And there aren't many jobs that are like that. If you work really, really, really hard, you can earn crazy money. Your career trajectory can be massive, and there aren't many jobs that I think are like that. It's great, and you get to chat to a load of people. At Zitko, I've worked in recruitment for like Josh has said, 26 years, but in Zitko, I've traveled, I've been to places that I never thought that I would go to. We went to Singapore. I get to go to America sort of 3 times a year, and no one thinks about those things as being options within a recruitment role. So yeah, I think it's great.
I've got a question in the chat from Christian. What business development tactics do you use initially to gain new business and build that sales momentum? And then the second part is, and what client acquisition strategy do you have in place today?
Yeah, so business development within our sector is quite interesting in the fact that it's a very candidate short market. So we are very candidate led, and that's how we pick up new customers through relationships that we have with candidates, and then going out to people and talking to them about the skill sets that we have available and things like that. So that's the main sort of business development tool that we use, really, rather than sort of cold sales or anything like that. We also have an exceptional marketing team that are doing a lot of stuff in the background, you know, direct marketing approaches, but also lots of things around soft selling along social media and things like that, and industry events. We partner with manufacturers, we partner with integrators who, you know, then introduce us into other businesses. What's our sales strategy? It's the same. You know, it's all about organic growth through the through our network is the main thing, because we've, you know, George, who's the owner of the business, has been there for 15 years. He's quite well known in the market. There's quite, you know, we've got quite a few people within the business that are, you know, very well known through their reputation of, you know, quality work, that we find that people reach out to us for work. We don't have to do a huge amount of typical business development.
Okay, so a lot of existing relationships. You've proved yourselves over the past years.
Yeah, people move into new companies and take us with them, or you know, a candidate that we've worked with in the past starts somewhere new, and they've you know, they then sort of take us with them into new businesses.
Good.
A nice place to be.
What would attract somebody coming to Zitko Group?
Yeah, so we although we're a small business, we have a lot of big business, what's the word, processes, I guess. We have a very structured career development path. You don't have to wait for somebody else to move on to be, you know, promoted. You know exactly what you need to do to do those things. We have a mental health team, you know, that being able to you know, have a career and have a life with your family is really important to us. We have a work from anywhere policy. We've had, you know, people that have gone and house sit their parents' house in Spain and still worked for the week. You know, we've had people do all sorts of things. We don't expect people to be in the office 5 days a week. You are treated like a grown-up. You know, you're inducted, you're onboarded, you're given everything that you need, you're given support, you're you know, given regular feedback, one-to-ones, training, all of those things. But ultimately, you know what you're expected of you each week, each month, around activity, around targets. We're not then saying to you at 9:05, why aren't you logged on? That's up to you. You know what you need to do every day. If you need to pick your kids up at 3 o'clock, that's fine. If you need to take your dog to the vet in the middle of the day, that's fine. If you need to go to the dentist, that's fine. All of those things, you know what you need to do every day or every week to be able to be successful. And that's how we've managed to build this culture of, you know, accountability, because it works both ways. So when it's bad, you have to be accountable for those things, because we're treating you like a grown-up, and everybody that's here now, you know, there isn't any bad, because they're mature enough to be able to handle that kind of life. I don't know if everybody's you know, everybody's able to handle that kind of freedom.
True. Some people like structure, being in the office.
They do. And you can do that as well.
Timetable,
We have people that go into the office, they're there from 8:30, they leave at 5 o'clock, and that's fine as well. But nobody's telling them they must be in the office, or they can't come in the office, or, you know, it's whatever fits for you. You know what you need to do every week. You know what you need to do at the end of the month. If you know, we check in with you, make sure that you're okay. We spot when things start to go a bit, you know, awry. We talk to you about it. But ultimately, it's, you know, you're a grown up, and we expect you to behave that way. We employed you because we trust you to do the job. So we trust you to do the job. And then we have some stonkers of parties and all sorts of things, nice things. There's always, extra competitions going on. We had, an Easter egg hunt in the office this week and things like that. So there's always like little socials going on and things like that that people can pick up and take if they want. It's not all around, going out and drinking. There's, they have running clubs and all sorts of things. There's loads of things going on. So it's just a great place to work. It's I know I'm partly responsible for it, but it's the best place that I have ever worked. People's development of their careers for a huge amount of people has been amazing, myself included. And that's all down to George and he's just, there's something about him makes people want to do great things for the business. Yeah, it's good.
Although he needs to be careful with what he spends.
Yeah. When you're the boss, you can do what you like, right?
Yeah. When I spoke to Ellie the other day, she'd actually been on a run.
Yeah, they're doing the I think there's 4 of them in the office. They're doing the London landmarks next Sunday.
Okay.
So
Right,
they have team runs in contracting. I'm glad I'm not in that team anymore, because I would be the person that's like, no thanks.
Well,
sitting there eating a sausage roll when they come back.
It sounds like you got a good combination of many things there in the business, and I'm sure it's very attractive. And recruitment businesses have to be attractive because there's so many of them.
There is.
There's got to be some flex in what people are looking for these days. Yeah,
completely. And it's, but on the opposite side, we then have high expectations for you, because we give you so much autonomy. That those two things together, you have to be quite mature to be able to handle those two things, I think, and it's not for everybody, and that's cool.
What is your recruitment gateway? Is it for grads? Is it for experienced recruiters?
Yeah, I'm trying to think who we've got now. So our last 2 hires have been people from outside the industry. They actually came from automotive sales, both of them, in fact, and everybody else, I'm trying to think, everybody else with except for 2 people were experienced recruiters from other places.
Right.
We've got one contract recruiter who came to us as a compliance officer, and she sat in the contract team and watched what was going on and then said, I want a bit of that. And she's exceptional, like unbelievable. And then the other lady, also within the contracting team, was in marketing. And she also said, I would like a piece of that team. And again, she's exceptional as well. So the 2 salespeople have come from sales backgrounds, and the only 2 people that haven't come from any kind of sales background were already in the business and had seen like how it worked and what the deal was and stuff. So it wasn't a shock to them. So
and what you can earn, of course, probably seeing it on the board every day.
And what you can earn, yes.
Is in the chart, and it's, what's the number 1 attribute, quality or skill do you look for in a new hire for Zitko?
I think it's really hard to narrow it down to one. It's that resilience piece, isn't it? It's when you ask people why do you go to work, what's the thing that drives you at work, and it's people are really afraid to say it's money, and I don't think that that's actually a bad thing, but there has to be, it's not just money for the sake of it. We've had people say, my mum was a single mum and she's worked hard all her life for me and my brothers, and I want to be able to treat her. That's like a real driver. It's when people say, I want my wife to be able to stay at home. It's when they say, I never thought that it was possible that I could earn this kind of money. And, you know, they're then sort of going on and buying their first home and, you know, things like that. It's all about like an attitude, but I think it's like a lot of things, isn't it? The resilience, the want, the you know, are you really driven? The one thing I will say is that when I've interviewed people and there's been a thing in the back of my head that I thought, oh, I'm really worried about X, Y, or Z, when I've not listened to it, the X, Y, or Z has been the reason in the end why they've not, you know, it's become a problem. So you should always, you know, even if it's 95% is great, that 5% that your brain's saying to you, like a big red alarm, you should definitely listen to that 5%.
Interesting. Yeah, it's so hard to hire the right people.
Yeah. Absolutely. And, you know, you can work in one recruitment company and love it and have worked there for years. Like if I had to start again tomorrow, I think that would be quite hard in a new place. And exactly. Yeah, definitely trust your gut. Your intuition is like the best thing ever. You know, would all of those things be the same? Would I have people that I enjoy working with? Would my boss be as inspiring as George is? Would, you know, the market be as great as the market that I've you know, worked in? Would my customers be as receptive to me? There's so many things that have, you know, all come together to make it work at Zitko. I understand that sometimes when you move, you can be great here, and for whatever reason you're not great over here, or like the other way around, you can have a really hard time in one place and then you move on and it just, all those things click together. So yeah, I think you know, we know, don't we, recruitment is really hard.
It is.
And we're experts at it, and we you know, we even get it wrong. So yeah,
very true. Well, thank you very much, Laura. That's I've thrown a lot of questions at you earlier, and it's great for the audience to chip in as well. Very interesting. Thanks for sharing your story, your journey, Zitko now, how they're doing, and a little bit on you know, who would be making a good addition to the business. And thank you very much.
In case anyone wants to
you
know.
Are hiring.
Ellie,
okay,
yeah,
right.
Ellie's
Laura's
got a job
hiring
in
everybody.
The contract team. Yeah.
I'll put your details on at the end on the video. That wraps up episode 4.
Lovely. Nice to meet you. Thanks so much, Josh. Thanks, everybody.
My pleasure.
Thanks for being nice.
Take care. Thanks,
Take care.
everybody.
Bye.
Thanks, Laura.
Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.